Hey friends, today I'm going to be sharing with you the best art advice that I think I've ever heard and personally I've tried my best to apply to my life. Now, there's a lot to go over, but I will try to keep it quick because, I know people got lives to go live and stuff like that. But anyway, number one, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Now, I know some of you that have actually been to my streams have heard me say this a lot. Spending 2 minutes a day on art seems like really silly, okay? I understand that. And I used to think it was stupid advice myself. But what I learned is that it got me into the habit of just doing art every day, even if it's just a little bit. Drawing something or doing some sort of practice or just keeping your mind, your brain in that artsy kind of mood. It has really helped, and it actually does help with improvement quite a bit because you know what? Even if you do only have 2 minutes of time, you get a lot done in 2 minutes. And on top of that, it's practice, and it's good practice, right? So something that I use is this website called Line of Action. It's actually recommended to me by the same person that recommended the 2-minute idea. Line of Action is really good because you can kind of go on there. They have timers. You can do figure drawing, animal drawings, face expressions, hands, feet, all of the above. And that website is almost perfect for just finding models of things or even just landscapes and environments, and you just practice. So yeah, you can put a 2-minute timer on there and you can just let the clock go. It's really useful, and I think it'll actually help a lot with some of you and how you all work on your art and stuff like that. I know for me it was really important to hear this because it was kind of like, I like to spend a lot of time on art and I get a little frustrated with how long it takes me to actually draw things. So it's one of these things where it's like, okay, if I don't have hours in the day to put to the side to draw, there are times where I'm like, I really don't want to try to draw and then get stopped or have to stop. Or I don't want to do, the hassle of starting and then I can't finish, blah, blah, blah. The 2 minutes a day fixes that. You only dedicated 2 minutes. If you draw more than that, fantastic. If you don't, you move on and do something else. Perfect, really. So I think that's great advice. That's like the number one thing that I had to learn, and I adapted into my habits because it was actually really good advice. I just didn't realize at the time. And I actually did get a lot better off of just listening to that. So keep in mind, my art style is not where I want it to be. So yes, I am giving art advice because I think this is helpful to myself and to you. But, I'm not super professional in a company anywhere. I've been drawing my entire life. So if that means anything to you, there you go. That's the best I got for you. Anyway, moving on for that. We have anatomy study. Now, we've all heard this one before, especially in schools and colleges and stuff like that. It seems goofy. I know it seems goofy because it's one of these things where I don't want to learn science or something like that. But no, what's important about it is by understanding the body, we're able to understand shapes in the body, and by understanding shapes, we understand how to manipulate those shapes to actually draw and create art, right? So there is a rhyme and reason for it. And I know a lot of us are kind of well, I don't know, it feels a little bit like a waste, but no, it's trust me when I say it's important. It's important. And especially regardless of what you're drawing, whether it's going to be furry art or aliens or some monster in a video game that you're developing, it doesn't matter what you're making. Understanding the human body is so important to understanding just how to draw things, period. Landscapes and the human body are the two things that you could take. Learning how to do those well, it will just help you in all forms of art, I feel like. And the reason for this is the human body is hyper complex. A lot of us growing up, myself included, we started out art drawing people or drawing some form of humanoid creature because we wanted to get into that sort of thing. And while that's okay, it's really important to recognize that the human body is actually a really hard step up. A lot of us started there, and that's a high level, you know what I mean? So it's not really the easiest thing to begin with, but it's what a lot of us started with anyway. And it takes almost, you know, an entire lifetime to be really good at it and like really buckle down on, well, how does the human body move? Why does it form differently in these different positions? Why does it move certain ways, you know? So that's just something like to consider there. Even though you see my like derp eye right here, like you see what I mean? Like even something as simple as flipping it like had to be adjusted that much, right? But the human body's just like that. Like perspective, angles, it's all super important. So anatomy, huge deal. Take time to learn it. I promise you will feel much better about it in the future. Now, I know for me, I still have a lot of anatomy practice to do. So again, this is advice for me and you, okay? This isn't me telling you. This is me advising. You know? Well, I guess it's the same thing. Anyway, whatever. So, next thing. Warm-ups. Oh my gosh. I know. Humans need warm-ups for everything, okay? I know you're like, alright, I'm not on the court, I'm not playing basketball, I'm not running around playing football, I'm not doing tennis or a sport. I get it. Warm-ups are just crucial to the way the human body works, period. It doesn't matter what the activity is. If you can warm up, or practice in some way, or just, you know, give yourself a chance to like build up the mental strength or the physical strength, something to prepare yourself to do an activity. That's why warm-ups are important, because they actively help us perform better in the moment, and that's a fact. So it doesn't matter what you're doing in life, if you can get a warm-up in, you want to do it. Now for most people, warm-ups is just drinking coffee. I'm not going to get into that, but when it comes to art, 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Only do warm-ups if you feel like you're about to do a big piece, by the way. Like, if you're just doing your 2 minutes a day and you're like, you know what, I did 2 minutes, I'm done, cool, let it go, do something else with your life, that's fine. But if you're about to get into it, like you're about to have that 4 or 5 hour drawing session, 15 minutes of 5 hours to just warm up is perfectly fine. How do you warm up, you might be thinking? Draw like eyes, or just draw some strands of hair, you know, pick something about the human body that fascinates you, or something you feel like you need to practice on, and just practice drawing of that thing specifically over and over again. Like, I know for me, one of the biggest things that I was doing when I was doing warm-ups a lot is I would just draw the head, like the human head, over and over again. Some, you know, at the 3/4 angle, other ones just straight, like, just keep doing that. You just keep doing that. And that's really all you need to do for a warm-up. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel for a warm-up. You know what I mean? Like, you're just getting your brain and your body ready to do the art thing, but you want to have like the best head start you can. And the best way you can do that is by just getting into the mood and vibe for it. It's the same as like the basketball player bouncing the ball up and down on the court. He's just getting ready for it, you know? Like, that's perfectly fine. But okay. So I just had to stress how important warm-ups were. Obviously, drawing from life, we've all heard this 100 times, so I'm not going to super dive this one. You need to draw from real life, okay? I am someone who draws anime art style. I, you know, have friends that draw furry art. I completely understand that we want to draw what we want to draw. You might just want to draw monsters or something. Drawing from life is important because art replicates life. The better we understand our actual environment, the better we can translate that to the page. Very important. And by being able to do that, you know, once we understand things like life drawing and anatomy better together, you can manipulate your drawing and do all these different creative things with it in ways that you might not have thought possible before. And it's important to recognize that, because by being able to do that, there's a lot that you can create. But it's kind of like people say, like, if you look at, for example, you look at One Piece, right? Oda draws characters in such a wacky way, but that doesn't mean he can't actually draw, right? We know this because the character Zoro exists. So Zoro is anatomically correct all the time. Everyone else is the wacky one, right? So because of that, Zoro kind of stands out in that way. But what's important to recognize here is that because Zoro is the way he is, right? and the rest of the cast is the way they are, we can get an understanding that, yeah, Oda knows exactly what he's doing when he draws these characters, and he's able to exaggerate them to make them more interesting character designs because he has a great understanding of the human body anatomy, and he has drawn from life a bunch of times. And I know there's no way for me to give you proof of that, but trust me when I say, every artist has to do it at some point. If you're running from it, just stop. Okay? I was running from it from a long time because I'm like, why would I learn how to draw like people when I want to draw anime? Anime has a lot of cheat codes in it. There's a lot of angles and things that don't exist or shouldn't bend in certain ways. And they do. And anime artists know how to get away with it because they know how the human body works and they know how to trick the human eye. Very important to recognize. But I digress. So, moving on. The other thing that I think you want to do, right, is obviously if you're struggling or you feel like your art isn't going anywhere, don't give up on it. Save all of your old work. Don't throw it out if you feel like it sucks. If you had a bad day, you drew something weird, hold on to it. It's very important to look back at your old work and then to look at your current work, even if you don't like your current work, because I don't like my current work you see now. But what's important about this is I can look at this and say, okay, 2 years ago when I drew a sketch that was similar, I didn't really like that sketch back then. And you know what? Even though I don't like this one, I like this more than I liked that. And that's important. You know, you want to have things that you can compare. You say, okay, I am improving. I'm not quite at the level I want to be yet, but I can see visual change, and that's good. And I'm happy about that. And that's okay. So long as you can recognize that change, that's why we hold on to our old work, you know? It's not to make us sad. It's not to look at one and be like, man, that kind of sucks. Like, oh, man, I still suck. No. Don't give up, okay? Art is hard. Everything worth doing on this planet is hard. That is just a fact of life. You chose art to be your battle, and that's okay. Own that battle. Do your best. Hold on to your old work. Do your thing, okay? You can be that person. You know you can, but you have to allow yourself to be that person. So, if it helps your mentality to hold on to that work, yeah, you should do it. And I think it will help. But again, you know, professional advice, but I am unlicensed as usual. So, anyway, the last thing I think is important, and this is more of my personal advice, so I didn't hear this one from anywhere. This is something that I personally do. Now, a lot of people have talked about things similar, where it's like, well, if you like a different artist or you like something about how somebody draws, you want to take their work to the side and try to, you know, replicate what they do, yada yada. And, you know, this can turn into a very dramatic thing because people stealing art styles, all that. I'm not here to get into that. What I want you to know is that what I do, right? So I have, like, I want to say 6 favorite artists that I just adore their work, okay? And I'll actually call them out. So you have Light Source, Mina Cream, Kinky Mation, Kami Mamoru, and then there's Onta, and Splash Brush. Can't forget them. So I love all of the different art styles these people are able to do. However, you know, I can't necessarily, and I'm not looking to copy any of their work. There are little things that they all do in their artwork that I want a piece of, but the only way I'm going to get that without, you know, stealing their work, of course, right? And to create my own art style through the different things that I like is to kind of fuse all these things together by practicing, okay, well, what does this person do that I enjoy? Now, I've talked a little bit about this on stream, where it's like, you know, I like the line work from some of them. Some of them, I just like the way they draw the body. Others, I like the way they draw eyes. Some, I like the way they form different things. I like the shapes some of them use. These are all different things that you will recognize while studying other people's art styles, but what you personally want to do, you want to take time to study what your favorite artists are doing, why they make certain decisions, and try to like fuse those little habits that you enjoy from them into your own art style. Now, obviously, you don't have to draw like anyone else, and you shouldn't really want to necessarily, But if there's something like you enjoy, okay, this person's line work is very soft, or I like how thick this person's line work is, or something like that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with giving yourself the opportunity to learn from someone else. And if you can fuse 5 different things from 5 different artists into your own art style and develop that art style that you are creating for yourself, I think that's perfectly fine. And ultimately, I think that'll lead to you being happy with your artwork. Because a lot of us right now, I feel like we draw and we have the art style that we've developed, but there might be something about it that we don't really enjoy. And I say this, okay? This will be my last take. Make it something you enjoy. If you don't like the way you draw right now, or you don't like the way you paint, or whatever the case is, find what you do like, make it that. That is the part of discovery that only you can do, and there's no advice for that one. You just have to create it. And my way of doing that is looking through the different artists that I enjoy and learning from them, learning their habits of why they do certain things, and trying to fuse those things and implement them into my specific art style. So, this is my take. There's plenty of other art channels that have been doing this forever and probably have similar or better advice. But you know what? That's just mine. So, this is like the best advice that I've heard as far as getting into art and being a good artist and what it takes to level up your art. So take it as you will. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you later.